Hi, welcome to JamPlay.com. My name is Michael Hawkeye Herman, and this is going to be a live webinar event about slide guitar. I really appreciate your being here. Thanks for tuning in. I want to remind you all that those of you that aren't subscribers, through this weekend, if you go to JamPlay to sign up and use the coupon code Hawkeye, which you'll see on the home site, and use that member code, Hawkeye, coupon code, you'll get 25% off your subscription, regardless of whether you sign up for a month or 2 months or 6 months or a year. You're going to get 25% off. And I'll remind you of that again later on, but I just want to be sure that those of you that are not subscribers have the opportunity to take advantage of this 25% discount. The rest of you that are subscribers, thanks for being here. Everybody, thanks for being here. I'm going to talk about slide guitar. I played a little bit of slide guitar in the introduction. What we're going to do in this class is, I hope, is be able for me to explain a lot about slide guitar. And this is beginning slide guitar, okay? And we will also go into an open tuning, an open D tuning, because generally slide guitar can be played on any instrument, okay? Some people say, I purposely didn't bring, I have a resonator guitar, an old National resonator guitar, and I purposely didn't bring it because I get a lot of questions from people, JamPlay and otherwise, that ask me, do I have to have a resonator dobro or a National guitar or a Regal or a Flint Hill or whatever those resonator guitars are? Do I have to have one of those to play slide? No. You don't. I'm playing on my standard acoustic guitar. I don't need a resonator guitar. I also can play slide on any stringed instrument. Yes, I have a classical guitar, a flamenco guitar at home, and I can play slide on it. It has nylon strings, but I know how to adjust my touch for that. I also have a banjo, and I can play slide on the banjo. I also developed an open tuning, and I can play slide on the mandolin as well. So as far as what instruments you can use to play the slide, if it's got strings on it, you can use a slide. All right? So the first thing I need to tell you about is the slide itself. Now, some of you are probably watching and already have a slide, but it might not, you don't know how to use it, or it might not fit you very well. Others of you might be watching and you don't have a slide. Well, I'll tell you what, if you don't have a slide, if you have a pen on your desk, you can pick up the pen and use it as a slide. You could hold it in between your pinky and your third finger. You could hold it that way, or you could just hold it this way, and you can replicate what I'm doing. I have a late good friend, an old blues man who used to play slide guitar with the handle of a pocket knife. So the first thing I need to do is explain to you about the various kind of slides that are available themselves. Now, what I want you to see is I play with a chrome-coated steel slide, and that way it's very slick surface, and on the inside of it there's a little piece of felt that I put in there so that it shims it a little bit because it's a little bit bigger, and I want it to fit somewhat tight, but I want to be able to get it off and on. The other thing is that the piece of felt on the inside does collect sweat, and so that's a good thing. The other thing that you'll notice is, you see how the slide is not short down here. It's not long beyond the end of my finger. It's just about at the tip of my pinky. Some people play slide with their third finger. The slide on their third finger. That means you have to get one with a larger diameter. Some people watch Bonnie Raitt, and you're going to see that Bonnie Raitt plays a slide with a slide on her middle finger. The reason why I play with the slide on my pinky is because I like to have these other three fingers available to pick on the guitar, to fret on the guitar. And if I move the slide over here, well, it's hard for me to use this pinky, and now I got two fingers, and obviously if I move it here now onto this finger with a bigger slide, I've only got my index finger to do fretting. So the next thing I need to explain to you is, besides the size, my opinion is that the slide should whichever finger you're using it on, it should come to just the center of your fingerprint. Okay, right at the center of your fingerprint. See how that comes right to the center of my fingerprint? Doesn't go to the very end. That can get clunky. And also, it fits me really good. And that's why the shim is on the inside, because it could drop out onto the floor. So while I'm telling you that, I want to show you, and this is really important to know, I want to show you the various slides that are available. Here's one of the first slides that I ever made. You know, when I was coming up in the 1950s and the 1960s, we called it bottleneck guitar. We didn't call it slide guitar because you couldn't go to the music store and buy a slide. It wasn't popular yet. Only in blues circles, and blues musicians used bottlenecks like this. This is a wine bottle that slide that I made. It doesn't fit me anymore because I made it more than 35, 40 years, probably more than 40 years ago. But it's from a wine bottle. So you can make your own slide, and I'm going to tell you really quickly how to do it. Okay, Muddy Waters made his own slides. I made my own slides. I learned how to make my slide from reading something that Muddy Waters said. So here's how it's done. You find a wine bottle that your pinky or whatever finger you want to use to play slide fits in it easily and comes in and out, but isn't too big and definitely isn't too small. All right. Then you take you take an etch with a file. Etch a line deep as you can with a file all the way around the neck, having measured it so that how it hits right in about in the middle of my fingerprint, okay? And then you take a piece of string, package string, and rub it across a candle so that it gets some wax on it, and then wrap it around right over the etching that you made. And now take it outside on your back porch or sit on the back steps or something like that. I want you to be outside and wrap the string around the slide and then light it on fire. Light the string on fire. The reason why the wax is on there is because if we didn't put the wax on there, the string would flare up and go away right away and not heat up the bottle. And what we want to do is light the string on fire, hold it and turn it, and let it get hot. And once you've got it heated all the way around, then blow on it, and then take the end of the bottle and just tap this on the edge of your step or whatever, and it should break right off, not necessarily smoothly, and then use a file to smooth it out. That's how we used to call it bottleneck guitar. Then after Dwayne Allman came around and started using a Coricidin bottle, an old cold pill bottle to play slide, then all of a sudden companies realized that slides were possible to sell, and so look at all these slides that there are. Here's a glass slide. The difference in the glass slide is glass has its molecules closer together. So if you looked at a piece of glass under a microscope, you'd see that the molecules are really close together, whereas on a piece of chrome steel like this, they're further apart. So you get the different material is going to give you a different sound. This gives you a different sound than this does. It's just a little bit different, but it's different enough to matter to me. Okay, here's one that's huge. It could be put on this finger if you wanted to, and it fits me there, but it's way too big for my pinky. I'm going to go through a whole bunch of them for you. Look, here's one that's made out of bone. I like this one. It's pretty good, but it's a little bit too clunky for me in terms of its thickness. Okay, but this is made out of bone. It could say that this is ivory, and it has an interesting sound as well. Every different material that a slide is made out of is going to sound different. Here's one that somebody made for me who's a machinist, and it's really good, but I can't put it on my finger. It doesn't fit me anymore, and I had trouble getting it off the other day. And the other thing about it is it's way too thick, and so after a while my finger gets tired, and that makes a difference as well. Most of the time you're going to go into a music store and you're going to find a display of slides like that, and what you should do is find the one that hits you right and feels right and fits right, and then take the time to sit down and try it on the guitar. Make sure it doesn't fall off when you try. Make sure it's not too tight. If you like it but it's a little too big, remember that you can take some tissue paper or a small piece of cloth and put it in here and shim it. Now I have a couple more that I want to show you because this will be free. You don't have to go to a music store. All right. This is copper plumbing tubing. Okay, and you can find this at Lowe's, at the Home Depot. You can find it at any hardware store. You go to the plumbing department and they got this tubing in long pipes, and this is made out of brass. Okay, now one of the reasons why this works, but it's not great, is because it can oxidize, it can rust, all right? And this should be really shiny, but I kept it oxidized so that you can see. The oxidation that's coating it now stands between you and the string. So if you bought something that's copper, you're going to have to polish it frequently to keep the oxidation off. So this is what you do. You go to the hardware store, Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever it is, and you go to the plumbing department and you look at the copper tubing and you stick your finger in, don't get caught, and you stick your finger in and then you call and find the tubing that's the right size, and you call the clerk over, the associate over, and you say, I want a piece of slide that's that long, that's this long. You can tell them that's about however long your finger is, and they'll cut you a piece, and it might cost you 50 cents, it might cost you $1, and in a local small hardware store, you might see scraps laying around on the floor, and you could say to them, how much is a scrap? Or you could buy a scrap piece of this big and use a hacksaw to cut it. And this, I don't like this too much, but this is also the same thing, only this is in the electrical department. This is electrical conduit, and it's made out of aluminum. And you can do the same thing, probably for about 50 cents or 75 cents or $1. You can have them cut a piece of this for you. But the reason why I don't like this is that aluminum, if you looked at it under a microscope, the molecules are not even nearly as close together as they are with glass or a chrome-coated steel. And so it has a rougher surface, and that roughness can be heard on the strings. Okay? So I don't want to. I could spend a half an hour talking to you about slides, and I've spent enough time talking about the slide. What I want you to know is shop. I don't want you to buy a slide for $10 or $15 and take it home and find out that it's not the right slide, and then go buy another one and another one and another one, and pretty soon you've got $75 or $100 wrapped up in a slide when you could have gone to Home Depot and got a piece of copper tubing that works just fine, that you have to polish once in a while, or buy the right one for between $5 and $15, whatever they cost. This one that I use with chrome-coated steel is a professionally made slide for this purpose. Okay, so the first thing is pick out the right slide for yourself. Don't experiment and spend a lot of money on a whole bunch of different slides. Okay, and if you feel like making one yourself out of the end of a beer bottle or a wine bottle, that's fine with me. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, and those of you that you can use using a fountain pen. If you've got what do you call it? What do you call it? The thing that you use to tap on your iPad screen, whatever that is called. I beg your pardon? Yes, you can use that as a slide. You can use just about anything for a slide as long as it has a smooth surface. So I don't want you to feel that if you don't have a slide, you can't play along. You could pick up a pen or a stylus. That's what it is, a stylus off of your desk, and you could use that. I suggest that it be metal and have a smooth surface. Okay, so now when you watch people like myself on videos on YouTube, etc., and when you watch us play slide, John Hammond, Taj Mahal. When you watch any of us play slide, us blues guys, we stomp our feet and we sweat, and it looks like we're working really hard and we're pushing really hard on the strings and stuff like that. But the truth of the matter is that the technique of playing with a slide is way lighter than it is with playing with your fingers. When you play with your fingers, you push down to make positive contact with the fretboard so that you cut off the string perfectly clearly behind the fret. With a slide, we want to play directly over the fret, okay? We want to play directly over the fret, and we want to have as light a touch as possible, and we don't want to hear this. We don't want to hear the frets. So now watch. I'm doing this to show you, even though when you watch me play, it looks like I'm pushing hard and working real hard and working up a sweat. I'm working up a sweat because I'm playing the blues, and I'm actually living what I'm playing for you right now. But watch. This is how light the touch is. I didn't hit any of these frets on the side. So I want you all to try that with whatever slide you have right now. Don't put it on your finger yet. Just hold it like this and go. Just rest it on don't push. Don't push down. I don't want to hear the frets like this, and I don't want to hear this. Did you hear those frets in between? Listen. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear this. That takes a really light touch. Okay? It's a very light touch. Now you take the slide and put it on your preferred finger. We're going to have a question and answer session once we get into this a little bit, and I want you to know that I'm anticipating some of your questions so that if we're fielding a lot of questions, I've already covered some of it, okay? So you don't want to push hard. You want to avoid the frets. You want to play directly over the fret. And since you're sliding, when you go from note to note, you shouldn't play like this. You should play... You're playing with a slide, you should slide. Otherwise, you might as well be playing with your fingers. The other thing is that if you're playing on one note, you shouldn't do this. It should be like this. A vibrato. If you don't shake the slide and slide in between the notes, you might as well be playing with your fingers. Now, one of the wonderful things about the slide that makes me feel kind of good is that even though I've been playing the guitar for a long, long time, 57 years, and I've been playing slide for more than 35 years, there are people that can play the guitar and can play circles around me on the guitar. But when you hand them a slide, all of a sudden somebody who's a very extremely advanced player, all of a sudden they're back at square one and they can't stand it because all of a sudden now they can't play the guitar because they haven't got the technique of playing with the slide. They want to take the slide and throw it out the window. So what I'm saying is it's a great equalizer. Okay, so I'm in standard tuning right now. And I just want to show you how the slide works, and then we're going to go into open tuning. We're going to use open D. There's also open G. What we're going to avoid is open E, and I'll tell you why when we get there. For right now, take your slide, put it on your finger of preference. I use my pinky, and I told you why, so that I can use my other three fingers for fretting. But if you want to put it on your index finger, I don't care. It's about the sound. It's not about technique. This isn't classical music. Now, I'm gonna pluck the string, and then I'm gonna bring the slide in, and I'm gonna slide from the 3rd fret right over the 3rd fret, and then I'm gonna stop up here at the 12th fret, and I'm gonna shake the side just a little bit. Not too exaggerated, not like this. No, that's I don't want that. I want like an opera singer or any country singer or blues singer that has a vibrato in their voice. That's one of the powers of the slide is to give it a vibrato. So I'm going to slide from the 3rd fret to the 12th fret. Here I go. Played the string. No rush. I could wait even longer. Now I will rush it. Now go to the next string. Slide up on all 6 strings to the 12th fret from the 3rd fret. Now, I'm going to tell you this beforehand, and that's a scientific aspect that is important, and that's this. There's something called the Parallax View. Yes, there was a film called the Parallax View, but what this is, and it's in reference to this same concept, but what I want you to know is you got to play directly over the fret when you play with a slide. And the reason why that is that if you play at the 3rd fret using your fingers, what you're actually doing, you're playing behind the fret, but the fret string is being pressed down, and it's actually in contact with the 3rd fret. That's what the fret is about. So if you're not going to play with your fingers and you're going to play with a slide, you don't want to be playing it in front of the fret, or in front of the fret, or behind the fret. You want to be playing directly over the fret. Now the problem that's created here is the parallax view. When I put my slide what I think is over the fret, and I'm looking with my head over here, I'm not actually seeing it right, and so I might have to, it might sound sour, sharp, or flat, and so what I might need to do is move my head over here to make sure, oh yeah, I'm a little bit behind. It looked like it was because my face is over here, and I'm looking at it at an angle. That's the parallax view. What you're seeing is not what you're getting. So what you need to do is make sure that you always play over the fret. Now, we're in open tuning. So let's do a muddy Waterslick while we're in open tuning, and then I'm going to go into open D tuning. And I'm going to be playing directly over the fret. So I'm going to be playing 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 10. And I'm going to go to the 10 and then the 12 on the next string. 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 10, 12, 12 on the first 2 strings. I played the 12th fret and then the 10th fret on the first string, and then I played at the 12th fret on the 2nd string, like this. And notice that I didn't go. I shimmered. I made the slide shimmer and give it a vibrato. Like I said, otherwise you might as well be playing with your with your standard fingers and not use a slide. So here's a muddy Waterslick. Do it again. Now watch this one. What I played was first string, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 9, 12, 10 on the first string, 12, 10 on the second string, 12, 9 on the third string. And it goes like this. Let's just do that. 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 9, the first three strings. And I'm shimmering there. Okay, now I'm going to put that together with the other little lick that I showed you before. Again. Now the extended lick. 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 9, 9. That's how Muddy Waters starts almost every one of his songs. Sometimes he does it in the bass string like this. That's on the fifth string. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 7 on the sixth string. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 5, 7, 7. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 5, 7, 5, 3, 5, open. Or, again with my fingers, that's on the fifth string, that's 7, 7, 7, 7, 5, 7 on the sixth string, 5, 3, 1, 1, 0, 0. Okay, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 5, E string, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 5, E string, 7, 5, 3, 0, 0, open, open. Okay, so this is what I just showed you. Okay, now it's not real common to play slide guitar in standard tuning, and the reason why is because when you touch the strings, especially if you're playing an electric guitar, if you're not in open tuning, you can get a dissonant sound, because just by going like that on the strings, these other strings, especially if you're playing with a pickup, you'll hear that and they're out of tune. Okay, because you're not in an open tuning. So the advantage of playing in an open tuning is that it doesn't matter, because you're tuned to a chord, and anything that the slide hits is going to sound fine. It's going to sound in tune. So now, what tuning are we going to use? We're going to use Dad Fad, D, open D. So write this down: D, A, D, F sharp, A, D. And I want you to watch me retune. I'm using my tuner here. I want you to watch me retune, and I'm tuning down. You'll see online that there are people that play slide in open E. Don't do it. And the reason why I say don't do it is, if you want to play in open E, you can use a capo and be in open D. But the standard guitar is made to be at a certain stress point. It's the tension on the strings is supposed to be specific, okay? And if you played in open E, it means you're tuning your guitar up, and you're tuning 3 or 4 strings a full step up from where they normally would be, and that can put stress on the neck, too much tension. And it can put stress on the bridge, too much tension, and it can pull your bridge up. It can pull the face of the guitar up. Don't tune to an open tuning that makes you tune up, okay? Tune to an open tuning that makes you tune down. And those two tunings are generally open D and open G. And I'm sorry to say that in the limited time we have, I'm only going to be able to show you open D. I'm not going to be able to show you open G in this session. But they're so similar that once you get this under your fingers, you won't have any trouble. You won't have any trouble adjusting to open G. So the first chord string is a D note. So I got the tuner and I'm going to tune down from E to D. Here I go. There it is. Open D. It's a full step down. Okay? Now the next string, A string, remains as it is. The next string, the D string, that remains as it is. Now the G string needs to be an F sharp. So that's just a half a step down. I'm using a chromatic tuner, not a guitar tuner. Most of you should have chromatic tuners. I don't think they make just guitar tuners very much anymore. They're almost all chromatic. So I'm going to tune this G down to an F sharp. And there it is. That's an F sharp. I said dad fad for the sake of remembering what the tuning is. D, A, D, F sharp, A, D. But what you should say to yourself to remember this, if you didn't write it down, it's dad fad, and the F is an F sharp. Okay? So I got my F sharp. There it is. Now, my second string, the B string, should be an A. So that's going to be tuned down a full step as well. And there it is. And now my E string, my high E string, the first string, also needs to be a D. So tune that one down a full step. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate your patience here, you guys. You need to retune. So there you go. Now, I'm in open D tuning. Now, I'm going to recheck. You know why I'm going to recheck my tuning? Is because as I release the tension on the neck, because I tuned 3 or 4 of the strings down, that changes the tension on the neck. And some of the other other strings might go out of tune. So I want to make sure that recheck after I've tuned the string. So this is a D, my 6th string. And sure enough, it's sharp. There it is. This is the hardest part of playing slide to me, is making sure that you got the tuning right. Okay, there I am with a D. And now A, little sharp. D, that's good. F sharp, that stayed good. The A on the second string is an A. I've adjusted it. First string is a D, there we go. Okay, now I'm going to leave my tuner on because just in case I knock it out of tune while I'm playing. Now what we've got here is the 1, 3, and the 5. Those are that's the triad in music theory. You make a major chord is 1, 3, and the 5, and D is the 1. The F sharp is the 3, and the A is the 5. So all of these strings are tuned to either a 1 note, a 5 note, or a 3 note. So this is 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. So that's a chord. So now we can play a 4 chord by simply going to the 5th fret and putting our finger across like this. Or putting the slide across like this. That's a 4 chord. And that's simple. Okay? And then we have at the 7th fret right here, we have the 5 chord. So we've got 3 chords right there just by going like this. Or everybody try that for themselves. Do it with me. Play open. Now slide up to the 5th fret. Stopping, yes, directly over. You don't want to be sharp or flat. And now slide up to the 7th fret. And now you've got 3 chords. You got the basic 3 chords for blues without having to make any chords with your fingers. 1 chord, D. 4 chord, G. 5 chord, A. Okay? Now I'm going to give you an option here. Everybody finger a first position E. First position E shape. Now pick up your third finger. That also is a G chord, what you have at the 5th fret, this. So now you got two places to play the G, to play the 4 chord. What looks like an E7 chord in first position in standard tuning is actually the 4 chord here, and it's the same here. Listen, my proof is, listen to this, and then this. They're just about the same, okay? And the next one is, make the same chord again. My index finger is on the 1st fret of the 3rd string, and my second finger is on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. Now, that's the 4 chord, or G. And surprisingly, we're going to get the 5 chord by just taking our 3rd finger and putting it on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. No, that's wrong. This is right. There you go. Nice harmonics. 12th fret, 7th fret, with the slide. So let me hear you slide up to the 12th fret, playing all 6 strings. See if you can do it. Slide up to the 7th fret. Slide up to the 5th fret. And open. Now I want you to just slide up to the 12th fret on the 1st string. Now slide up to the 12th fret on the 2nd string. And shimmer. Yeah, that's it. Now slide up to the 12th fret on the 3rd string. And the 4th string. And the 5th string. And the 6th string. Let's do it at the 7th fret. If you're hearing this, adjust your slide, bring it up. If you hear this sound, it means that your slide is tilted too much. You got to bring it up more parallel to the neck, like this. Again. And now to the 5th fret. There you go. So the key positions here, even if you don't know any chords, although I showed you the two basic chords down here, and you can play those here, or with the slide. There you go. Okay? Now, the scale. Blues scale. We're going to be playing blues before you know it here. Here we go. I'm going to play all the way across the strings. I'm going to play 3-0. That's the fret number. So on the 1st string, I'm going to play 3-0. 2nd string, 3-0. 3rd string, 3-0. 4th string, 3-0. 5th string, 3-0. 6th string, 3-0. Like this. Take it off. Now, do it ascending rather than descending. 0-3, starting on the 6th string. Again, I'll do the whole thing. Here we go. Did you notice when I told you that I didn't do this? I slid up to it. Might as well throw the slide out the window if you're not going to slide. So the sound is 3-0. 0. It almost said it to me. 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. This is a challenge, isn't it? Now you can see why advanced players who extremely advanced players who don't play with the slides normally, when they put a slide on, all of a sudden they're in the same boat as a beginner, and they don't like all of a sudden to have all their experience on the guitar go out the window. Well, we're starting from square one here with the slide. Now, I want to show you how to play the blues rhythm. I showed you the scale. This is the scale. Again, one more time. 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. And I can play at the 5th fret. And I can play at the 7th fret. 4 chord, 5 chord, and now up here the octave. This is a D chord, and this is the higher D chord. That's why we get a harmonic there, and a harmonic at the 7th fret, which sounds really good. Now, before I'm going to show you one. I'm going to show you the blues rhythm, and then I think we might be getting close to time for a few questions, but we'll see how our time works out. Here we go. Play open. Now, what was that G chord that I showed you, the 4 chord? Remember, it was shaped like an E chord with your 3rd finger taken off. It looks like a first position E7 chord, like this. Now all you have to do is this. And we're playing the blues. I want you to watch me sing this song for you, because a song is worth a million words. Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? Are you getting the logic of what happened there when I went to the 5th fret? I was doing the same thing. I'm doing all right. Good morning, how are you? With a turnaround, and I'll get to that in a minute. So I want to make sure that my tuning is still good, and it is. So now what I did was, when I went to the 4 chord at the 5th fret, what I did was, you see this shape? That's the same shape as I used down here. Index finger is on the 3rd string at the 1st fret, and my 2nd finger is at the 2nd fret of the 5th string. So that shape that looks like what would normally be an E7 in standard tuning is what we're using to go back and forth for between the 1 and the 4. Try that with me. Don't worry about the chord changes yet. Just do that. Have some good morning blues. Blues, how do you do? Should sound pretty good. And I'm not playing all 6 strings. And I'm muting a little bit with the heel of my hand so that the guitar enunciates well. You can just rest this part of the heel of your hand on your strings, okay? Okay, now let's see. I want you to play. Now move up to the 5th fret and put your index finger all the way across. Now, make that same chord shape. Now, that means that your 2nd finger is going to be on the, what's it going to be on? It's going to be on the 6th fret, and your 3rd finger is going to be on the 7th fret. And you go back and forth like this. This is for rhythm, not for lead yet. Okay, relax, stretch your hand out a little bit. Now go to the 7th fret and do the exact same thing. Put your finger all the way across, index finger all the way across at the 7th fret, and now what you're going to alternate between is playing at the 7th fret like that, and then putting that little 2-finger chord shape on top of it, which means that your 2nd finger is now at the 8th fret, and your 3rd finger is now at the 9th fret, like this. back down. How about a turnaround? And then, well, no, I think before we do the turnaround, I think we should play 12-bar blues just like that. 1, I'll play slow. 2, 3, 4. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3. Change. 6, 7. 7th fret. 5th fret. So we're playing in open tuning, and guess what? Any song can be done in open tuning. You don't have to necessarily play with a slide. You could play a country song like this. In your 4 chord. So you don't have to play with a slide in order to be in open tuning. Okay? Now I want to do it one more time, and I'll try to call out the changes for you without singing, because some of you maybe didn't attend the first event that we did this morning where I explained 12-bar blues, and what we're doing is playing 12-bar blues. That means we play the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and then the 1 chord. We play the 5 chord and the 4 chord and then the 1 chord. So that's D, 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 then G, 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 then D, 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 and then A, and then G, G, and then back to D. And don't worry about the music theory. It's about having fun and enjoying the process. So here I go. 1, 2, you know what to do. Get ready to change. Change to the 5th fret. 1 more measure. Change back to the open. 1 more measure. 7th fret. 5th fret, and back to the open. Let's sing it one time. Keep playing. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? Not the best key for my voice in this song, but I want to use it as an example. Doing all right. That's the 7th fret. Good morning, how are you? Can you put the scale behind that? Now, how about some licks? That's 3 0 3 0 3 0 2 0. That's I'm playing on strings 1 and 2, 3rd fret and on the 1st string and 3rd fret on the 2nd string. Let's do it on the next 2 string. How about strings 4 and 5? And 5 and 6. Okay, let's do the turnaround now, and this is really easy. This is really easy. You don't need, it's probably best for me to show you how to play the turnaround without the slide right now because it's on the inside, and you might hit some of these other strings and it might sound funky for you, but I want to show you where it is first with your fingers. Okay? Play at the 3rd fret on the 5th string, and play just that string. Now 2nd finger, 2nd fret. Now 1st finger, 1st fret, and open. Now play. That's it. Now let's arpeggiate strings number 5, 4, and 3 like this. Doing that, the same thing. Listen. That's a turnaround. And now, since this is an A string, and you notice that the tuning is D, A, D, F sharp, A, D, there's two A's. So the logical question would be, Hawkeye, you played that on that turnaround on the fifth string. Can you do it on the second string because that's also an A? And of course, the answer is yes. Third fret, second string. Can I play the top two strings at the same time and have a really cool sound like this? Oh, and to anticipate a question that might come in, Hawkeye, since those are two A strings, and they're both being played at the third fret, those two A strings, string number 2 and string number 5, can I do them together simultaneously? I can't play it for you because it's copyright, but I can play the accompaniment. I actually know a song that goes. String 2 and string 5 from the third fret, second fret, first fret, open. Now you can't do that with the slide, and the reason why is because you would hit the other strings. Okay, now can you do this turnaround with the slide? Yes, try it. Again. Now do it on the second string. 3, 2, 1, 0. Did you notice that I slid up to each one of those notes? I didn't just go. I went. And even though I don't have as much room here at the first fret, I can still go. Again. And on the second string. Okay. Let me give you the turnaround sequence again. And watch how much I can do with that arpeggio. Can I do that on the second fret? Sure, I can go. First 3 or 4 strings, slide up to the 12th fret, stop and shimmer. I'm not going, that's something else by itself. Those are the first 2 strings. I'm playing strings 4, 3, and 2. Now I'll play strings 4, 3, 2, and 1, and you'll hear the difference. There's subtle differences here. You hear that the high D note got in there that time. There's a difference between and. Okay, let's see if we can put some of this to work. Rhythm. Turn around to start, to let you know where we are. To the 7th fret. Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? 12th fret. 7th fret, I'm doing all right. Good morning, how are you? Turn around. Or there's so many different variations, and I think some of you might have noticed because I anticipate this. You have to play with your thumb? No. Did you notice that I sometimes I can go with my index finger. I could use classical technique and use my index finger on the third string and my second finger on the second string and my third finger on the high string. I could use classical technique like that if I want. Okay, so we've got the basics here. We've got the basics of what's going on with the slide. We've got we were doing 12-bar blues, and don't worry, you can go to my website and you can look and you can download some of the supplemental material on chords and how to do this. HawkeyeHerman.com. I want to remind those of you that are watching that are not subscribers that during this weekend, if you use the coupon code Hawkeye, you get 25% off your subscription, regardless of whether you sign up for a month or 2 months or 6 months or a year. So I encourage you to take advantage of that now because it's not going to happen again. Okay? Let's do one more time. Let's play the rhythm. My index finger is playing on the first fret of the third string, and my second finger is playing on the second fret of the fifth string. Now let's move it up to the fifth fret so that we're playing a shuffle rhythm up there at the fifth fret. Stay there for a while. Don't worry about the changes. I want you to get the positioning right. And now let's go back open. Now think about the 7th fret. Plan ahead. You should never be thinking about what you're doing. You should think about where you're going. You know, when you drive a car, you don't look over the hood. You look up the road. So when you play the guitar, you're not actually looking at what you shouldn't be watching what you're doing. You should be planning on where you're going and then go there. So I'm saying to you guys, get ready to go to the 7th fret. Think about it. Look at it. Picture what you're going to have to do there when you get there. Let's go there on the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go. Stay there. Now let's drop down to the 5th fret when I say on 4. 1, 2, 3. Change to the 5th fret. And now open. Now that turnaround that I told you about, I'm trying to anticipate phone-in calls. Somebody might say to me, Hawkeye, you know that you can get that same thing at the 15th fret. And I would say, yes, you're absolutely right. In other words, this can be done. We don't have to worry about the other strings. It's tuned to a chord. No mistakes. Can you do it on the 2nd string? Could you do it ascending rather than descending? Okay, I have another little trick that I want to show you. Let's go to the 12th fret with the slide. And let's say this to ourselves. Da-da-da, da-da-da. That's a triplet. Triplet, triplet. That's an 8th note that's tied. Triplet, da-da-da. Da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. Okay. I want to invite people to start writing in with questions now. I'm going to keep on going, but I want you to start submitting your questions. And when the questions start coming in, I'll break to answer any question you have. If you give us your name, that's wonderful, and I'll respond to you personally like that, and everybody will hear your question. And if you're too embarrassed to give us your name, it's okay. You don't have to give us your name. But I want to show you again. Here I am at the 12th fret. So if you've got any questions about slide that are relative to what I'm talking about now, please be sure to ask me. This is your opportunity. I don't do lessons online that are not pre-recorded because I tour and I can't make my schedule so that I can do this regularly, like many other people do, and say that I'm going to give lessons at 7:30 on Wednesday nights Pacific time or something like that. I travel and tour to make a living, and so I can't make a commitment. So this is your chance to ask me live, or you're going to have to submit the question to me via the JamPlay website, which is easy to do because under every lesson is a little nav bar that says comments, ask a teacher. And I get to the website, even when I'm on tour, I get there a couple times a week to answer comments and questions. So I was at the 12th fret playing da 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 da. Over the first 3 strings at the 12th fret. Now let's turn that into a lick. The classic lick of Elmore James. Okay? And I don't have to worry about the royalties and publishing on this lick because this lick has been around way before Elmore James. And nobody knows who made this lick up, but it just so happens that the great slide player Elmore James used this lick all the time. And so people refer to it as the Elmore James lick, although he certainly didn't own it or write it. And the lick goes like this. Listen, it goes da 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 da. That was da 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 da. Okay, 4 times you go da da da. Triple it. Triple it, triple it, triple it, triple it. Okay? Triple it, triple it, triple it, triple it, da da. So that was 3 tied 8th notes, 4 tied 8th notes, 4 tied 8th notes, and then 2 8th notes that were not a triplet. Okay? So it goes like this. I'm going to show you those notes. The da-da was sliding up to the 12th fret on the 3rd string and then sliding up to the 12th fret on the 4th string. 3rd string sliding up to the 12th fret, 4th string sliding up to the 12th fret, and you will be playing the classic Chicago blues Elmore James lick that everyone has done. Stevie Ray Vaughan has done it. Eric Clapton has used it. Of course, Elmore James used it on most every one of his tunes. Freddie King used it. Buddy Guy uses this lick, whether with a slide or not. This lick can be done without a slide, but we have the advantage of having the guitar tuned to an open chord, so it's... And that's at the 3rd string, 12th fret, 4th string, 12th fret. So it's first 4 figures, the triplets, are on the top 3 strings. And then the last figure is string 3 and 4, 12th fret. Everything at the 12th fret and trying to slide up to it as much as possible, like this. Here's the classic Elmore James lick. Again. Okay, now I'm anticipating a question. Somebody might say, "Can I do it with my index finger, going like this, upwards?" And I would say, "Sure, like this." Okay, good. Got a question?
Yep, we have a question here,
Good.
Hawkeye. And this is from an anonymous person. Does Hawkeye have a slide that fits on his 3rd finger? Because I'm unsure if mine is fitting correctly. So maybe you just talk a little bit about fitting of the slides. I know you use your pinky.
Okay, I got a whole table full of slides here, and the reason why I collect them is because I don't want people to spend a whole bunch of money on slides and have a drawer full of slides that they find out one at a time that they can't use. You go to the music store and you tell them you want to buy a slide, and they'll pull out a display of slides, and you should first see if it fits your finger, and then make sure that it's the right length and it's not too tight or not too loose. Remember, you can always shim it, and it's up to you which finger you want to use it on. And if you want to see me use it on my 3rd finger, there it is. Here's a slide that fits on my 3rd finger, and it fits well. And when I play, whether I'm using my pinky, this is a good point. Thank you, Anonymous, for calling in or for writing in. When I play with a slide, I bend my finger in there just a little bit to hold it on so that it doesn't fall off. Look, this would fall off. This can fall off. It's getting looser there, it fell off. But if I just bend my finger a little bit on the inside, not a lot, just enough to hold it on. Now I can play slide like that. Bonnie Raitt plays with a slide on this finger. I don't think I have a slide that's big enough to do that. Wait a minute. No, I don't. But Bonnie Raitt plays with a slide on this finger. The finger you put it on doesn't matter. You want to put it on your index finger? It's harder for me because I learned to play with a slide on my pinky. That's the way I like it. I told you earlier that the reason why I like that is because I want to use my other three fingers for stuff. Bonnie Raitt doesn't worry about that. She sure sounds good on the guitar, doesn't she? And she plays slide a lot, okay? And she puts the slide on this finger. So the question was, you should have a slide that fits on your third finger. And if it's a little bit, it shouldn't be too tight. If you can't get it off, that's a bad problem. And so it fits on there, and to make sure it doesn't fall off, I've got my finger just slightly bent, and you can see that even this slide comes to the middle of my fingerprint. I don't want it too long, because then I've got all this mass that can hit the guitar. Okay? So, and at the 7th fret, and the 5th fret, and now the scale. And I can still play my chord if it's on my third finger. Okay, is any other questions coming in? Okay, let me get back to my original slide. I hope that answers your question, Anonymous. It doesn't matter to me which slide you use, which finger you put your slide on, as long as it fits you properly. Both the diameter shouldn't be too tight, and it shouldn't be too loose, so that if you point your hand down, it falls off. You don't want that. And it shouldn't be too long, because that can get in the way. Now it becomes cumbersome. You know, some people used to play slide a long time ago when I was coming up, when you couldn't go to the grocery store, or to the music store, and buy a slide. Some people used to play slide with a spark plug nut. Do you know what I'm talking about? You know how people, you tighten a spark plug, and it has a piece of foam on the inside, and it's the perfect size for a spark plug. Well, it's also the perfect size for your pinky or your third finger. The problem is it weighs about a pound. So you get a really clear sound because there's a lot of mass and steel there. But let me tell you, after a while of wearing a spark plug nut wrench on your finger starts to sag, and it really hurt. It can really hurt, and you might hurt yourself. Also, if it dropped on the floor and hit your toe, you can hurt yourself. Okay, so here's what we've got for slide. Quick review so far. We've got the 1 chord here. We got the 4 chord here. We got the 5 chord here. We got the 1 chord here, and we got the 4 chord here, and we got the 5 chord like this too as well. So the 4 chord was indexed at the first fret of the 3rd string, and the second finger was at the 2nd fret of the 5th string. Nice 4 chord. And then the next chord. Okay, remember what I said about making what would be an E-shaped chord here? How about picking up your 2nd finger? Let's see what that sounds like. That sounds pretty good too. So you got you have an alternative for the 5 chord. You can play it with your index finger on the 1st fret 3rd string, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and your 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. You could play it that way. Or you could just play it this way, with your index finger on the 1st fret of the 3rd string and your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. That, again, 1st fret, 3rd string, 2nd fret, 4th string. So here's the 2 chord, another way of playing those 2 cards. We played up here, Elmore James lick. Or and we can slide to the 5th fret, And we can slide to the 7th fret for the 5 chord, the A, the G, and open. And we've got this scale, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. 6 strings, 3-0 on each one of the 6 strings. And you should be able to play lead. And I'm going to do that for you in a second. Let me set it up. Here I go. I'm going to repeat the scale. Okay, and now I'm going to improvise. Here I go. Fifth fret. Seventh fret. I anticipate a question, and hopefully I'm anticipating enough questions that you might say to yourself, well, I was just going to ask you that, Hawkeye, and that's this. When I go to the 5th fret, because the guitar is in open tuning, everything works. In other words, any note that I play at the 5th fret is going to sound fine. This is your ticket to ride, you know. The slide is actually way easier than playing in standard tuning, because here's the 1 chord, and here's the 4 chord, and here's the 5 chord. Okay, and if you're curious, if I put my guitar like this and take my slide off and go like this and do the exact same stuff, I'm playing it a dobro style, like in a bluegrass band. That's the only difference. A dobro in a bluegrass band is tuned to an open tuning. Sometimes it's a C, sometimes it's a G, could be a C6 chord. The chord that it's tuned to doesn't matter. What you need to know is when you see a bluegrass band or a country music pedal steel player, they're playing in open tuning. It's just that the guitar is played this way, flat, rather than upright like this. Okay? So I can do all those things playing like this. And I would play, and steel players have a hard time because they have to be really accurate because they don't want to hit any of the other strings when they play a turnaround, like, because they're not going to play with their fingers like this. And a dobro and pedal steel or lap steel guitar, everything is done with the slide. I like to play it with a slide in open tuning and play upright, even though I can play some lap steel guitar. And the reason why is because I want to use my fingers too. I do want to use my fingers. So now I'm going to talk about just the 12-bar blues so that you know where that's at. Because in the first event today, I explained 12-bar blues, and this is a slide guitar lesson. But I don't want to assume anything. And the reason why that is, when we publicized this event, we said that this was for total beginners. And so some of you total beginners might be saying to yourself, I don't know the chords for the blues. Well, in the key of D, which is what we're in, the 3 chords for blues are D, G, and A. That's 1, D. The 4 chord is G, and the 5 chord is A. And here's the G, the 4 chord, and here's the A. So when do you make the changes? It's 12-bar blues. I'm going to show you when to make the changes. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3. Change. 5, 6, 3, 4. 6, 2, 3, 4. Change. 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, change. 9, 2, 3, 4, 10, 2, 3, 4, 11, 2, 3, 4, 12, 2, 3, 4. So when do you make your changes? It's 12 bars. You play the 1 chord over the first 4 measures. You play the 4 chords starting at measure number 5 and 6. Then you go on the 7th fret, and then, on the 7th measure, you go back to the D chord, and you play that for 2 measures, measures 7 and 8. And then for the 9th measure, you go to to your 5 chord. For the 10th measure, you go to your 4 chord. And for the 11th and 12th measure, you can be on the 1 chord. So now I'll count it out. And one of the things that, those of you that weren't here for the first event, did you notice that I don't count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4? The reason why is because, does anybody know how many times I said 1, 2, 3, 4? No, but I don't know how many times I said it, so I'm lost. Just imagine trying to play a jazz song that's 32 bars and counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Where was I? So this is how I counted, so that you know where. Remember I said you change on measures 5, measure 7, and measure 9. So watch, I'm going to count the right way. This is the musical way to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3. Change. 5, 2, 3, 4. 6, 2, 3. Change. 7, 2, 3, 4. 8, 2, 3. Change. 9, 2, 3. Change. 10, 2, 3. Change. 11, 2, 3, 4. 12, 2, 3, 4. So I place the number of the measure in place of the 1 as I move through the chord changes and move through the 12 bars. And that way I never get lost, or rarely get lost, and I know where I am all the time. And so you can communicate with somebody and say, hey, in the 6th measure, do you do this chord or that way? You know, you can add, it makes things clearer. So now I'm going to count it again, and I'll be quiet only to count and tell you when the changes are. So we're going to go from the open to the 5th fret and back to the open. Then we're going to go to the 7th fret and then the 5th fret and then the open fret. Here I go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3. Change. 5, 2, 3, 4. 6, 2, 3. Change. 7, 2, 3, 4. 8, 2, 3. Change. 9, 2, 3. Change. 10, 2, 3. Change. 11, 2, 3, 4. 12, 2, 3, 4. So you would say to me now, anticipating questions, is, where does that turnaround come in? Where does that turnaround come in? Let's check it out and see. I'm at right here. I'm at the 9th measure. 9, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5 chord. 9, 2, 3, 4. 10, 2, 3, 4. So 9, 2, 3, 4. 10, 2, 3, 4. 11. The reason why I went up to the 7th fret there is because I was going to keep on playing, and that's the 5 chord. So the answer to that question is the turnaround comes in on the 2nd beat, or wherever you can squeeze it in there on the 11th measure. In the beginning, I want you to try and experiment and see if you can play it at the right time. So here I am at the 9th fret, and I'm playing the 5 chord. 11th measure. And I'm ready to start over again. That was 12 measures. Let's do it one more time, because honestly, believe me, this needs to be repeated so many times. I don't mind repeating it 11 million times, and the reason why is because this has to be done over and over again until the chord changes feel automatic. You don't even have to think about it. But when you're thinking about it, please remember that no matter what kind of music you're playing, I don't care whether you're trying to learn a Beatles song or a any kind of song, a Hank Williams song or a Merle Haggard song, doesn't matter. Any kind of song, if you're going to count the measures, you shouldn't count 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2. You shouldn't count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You should count 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. You know, classical musicians, when they have a chart, big chart in front of them, musical chart in front of them, they have numbers above each measure, because sometimes a piece of music might have 110 measures, and you could get lost if they didn't pencil over the each one of the measures what number it is. And in jazz music, like I said earlier, usually jazz tunes are 32 bars, 32 measures. Well, that makes it really easy to get lost, and so the way you have to count is 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4. And you memorize where the changes are according to being able to remember what measure you're on. Otherwise, you'll get lost. So I can't do this too many times. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, change. It's 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, change. 7, 2, 3, 4, 8, 2, 3, change. 9, 2, 3, 4, 10, 2, 3, 4. Ending? Let's play an ending. 10, 11, 12 on the first 4 strings. And shimmer. So now that would sound like this. Or we've got a shimmer there at the end. Now I'm going to try to include the licks that I showed you in terms of the scale. And remember what I said about the Elmore James lick? For lack of any other name for it, that's what everybody refers to it as. I wish it had some other name, but it's named, everybody in blues music refers to it as the Elmore James lick because he used it so many times. He used it like this. And he also did it on a fast tune like this. Questions, I'm here for your questions. I'm going to check my tuning one more time, and I appreciate it if you would too, because I could tell that my guitar went a little bit sharp. It's hot under the lights here, and that can affect the tuning of my guitar, and it has. There it goes. And now I'm back in D tuning. So how about another rhythm? How about going... I'm playing on the 2nd string or the 5th string, and I'm playing the 3rd fret and then the 2nd fret and then open. The turnaround is 3, 2, 1 on either string 2 or 5. This little rhythm that I'm playing is just 3 and 2 and then 0. You can play both 2 and 5 at the same time. I'm going to slide up to the 5th fret. Here I go. Now I'm going to play slow blues, and I'm going to throw in the Elmore James lick in between so that you can see where to use it. Here we go. Don't forget, coupon code is Hawkeye for 25% off through the weekend for subscriptions, okay? And anytime you have a question, just email it in to us, and I'm here now. So if you have any questions, let me know about slide guitar. Here we go. Okay, good. Okay, here we go. Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? I'm doing all right. Good morning, how are you? So the Elmore James lick, the lead lick goes in between the verses, right? I said, "Good morning, blues, blues, how do you do?" Da 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 da. And then I said it again, "Good morning, blues, blues, how do you do?" Da 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 da. And then I went to the 5 chord. I'm doing all right. Good morning, how are you? And then I played a turnaround. This time I'm going to play it, and I'm going to just improvise out of that simple blues scale that I showed you, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. And I'm not going to play the Elmore James lick, okay? So here I go. I'm going to try it again. D-tuning is something that I use a lot, but I have specific songs that I do in D-tuning, and the reason why is because my voice is not necessarily in D, and so sometimes I use a capo. If I put a capo on the 2nd fret, that's now an E, and I'm in E tuning. So if you're in D tuning, somebody could say, "Hey, let's do a song in E." You could put your capo across the 2nd fret, and now you're in E. And the 4 chord is here, and the 5 chord is here, because it's here and here, right? Okay. So this time I'm going to improvise using that scale that I showed you. The scale couldn't be any easier. 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0. It's the same all the way across. It's not like, the standard blues scale has some variety in there in terms of what frets you have to play, and there are other scales like the Mixolydian scale, etc. That, boy, it can get really confusing. But this is so easy; it's all in at the same fret, 3-0, 3-0. So let's watch me do it. Here I go. Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? I'm doing all right. Good morning, how are you? And for that 5 chord right there, I could go. So I could go. Okay? Instead of going, so I could go, I'm doing all right. Good morning, how are you? Index finger is on the 3rd string, 1st fret. 2nd finger is on the 4th string, 2nd fret. Okay, I have to look to make sure, because I've been doing this for so long. It's sort of like automatic to me. It is automatic. I automatically have the blues every day. So here we go, one more time. I want you to freely practice slowly. I say this in every lesson, and I don't regret saying it in every lesson. Crawl before you walk. Walk before you run. If you can't accomplish something, it's because you're playing too fast. And even at the slowest tempo, if you can do it perfectly at a slow tempo, that's the place to do it. And eventually you can pick up the speed if you need to pick up the speed, but don't try to play too fast. Play slowly, okay? Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? the end. I hope you know that I didn't even cover that, but I wanted to show you how to use the slide in this lesson. Let's move to general question and answers, okay? Anybody have anything that they want to ask me about this sequence of lessons? It's fine with me. I'm sitting here now and waiting for you to ask me anything that you'd like in terms of general Q&A, okay? And while I'm doing that, I want to play something here for you that's an old gospel tune that's in public domain. It's called Nobody's Fault But Mine. And I want to do this as a little bit of a filler. And I don't mind being interrupted with a question. Believe me, that's why I'm here. Now we're at the point where you know about the chords and you know about the slide, and now I'm going to tell you, I could have done this in the beginning, but I'm doing it now for those of you that have hung in here with me. I do this for the kids in school. I've been in more than 500 schools around the world. 500,000 students, and they love to hear me do this. And I say, I can make my guitar talk and sing just like the human voice. That's why we play with a slide. Blues music is vocal-based, okay? Blues music didn't start out as instrumentals. There were no blues instrumentals for the first 25 years or 40 years of blues music. It was sung music, and that wasn't music that you played instrumentals. That's a modern aspect, okay? So this is what I tell those school kids when I put the slide on my finger. I can make my guitar talk and sing just like my human voice. Listen. Mama, Mama, I want to go outside and play. I forgot the magic word. What's the magic word? Please. Mama, please. So the reason why blues musicians play with a slide is because it's a very African technique from the diddley bow. Yes, that's where Bo Diddley got his name. There's a one-stringed instrument that's played with a rock, and you slide the rock, you beat on the string, and you slide the rock up and down like the slide, and it's called the diddley bow. You can Google it, diddley bow. And that's how Bo Diddley took his name. His real name was Ellis McDaniels, but he called himself Bo Diddley, okay? And that's taken from an African instrument. Got a question for me?
Yeah, we got a question from Jim.
Yeah.
Jim would like to know who are some of your favorite slide players and who influenced you in your slide guitar.
Well, Jim, I appreciate the question, and it's a good one. I'd have to say the first slide player that I heard was Robert Johnson, and I'm an old guy. So I remember when nobody knew about Robert Johnson because he'd been dead since 1936 or 1937, and I was born in 1945, and I'm an old guy. I'm 70 years old now, and I started playing the guitar in the 1950s. And back then, nobody knew who Robert Johnson was because he'd been dead a long time. But in about 1967, the album was released with all of his music on it, and 50% of the 29 songs that he recorded, only 29 because he died at a young age, half of them were slide tunes, and they were really complex, very complex. But boy, it made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. And then I heard Elmore James, and Elmore James took the same music from the Mississippi Delta that Robert Johnson played, and he plugged it in to the electric guitar, and he simplified it. Okay, so there were fewer notes, and that made it more accessible for me. So your question, Jim, was who are some of my favorites? And what I'm going to interpret that as, you're actually asking me, who should I listen to learn? And I'll tell you that the people you should listen to are Robert Johnson. Eric Clapton did an entire album of Me and Mr. Johnson, right? There's a reason why. Okay, almost on every one of his albums, he's done a Robert Johnson tune, and then he did an album that's dedicated to Me and Mr. Johnson. Rory Block has done is a fine slide player, and she's done an album of all Robert Johnson's music. So, A, Robert Johnson for complexity and rhythm. You want to hear him. Elmore James. You want to hear him play the slide guitar as it was interpreted when people moved from the Mississippi Delta to Chicago. Eric Clapton plays with a slide sometimes too. Here's somebody that you might not know, but man, I don't know how this guy does what he does. Sonny Landreth, Landreth. Sonny Landreth is like a genius on the slide guitar. You listen to him. Go to Google or go to YouTube and look up Elmore James. Go to YouTube and listen to Robert Johnson. Go to YouTube, and if you want to be depressed, go to YouTube and listen to Sonny Landreth, because Sonny Landreth has done more with the slide than just about anybody I know. And there were other people that played with the slide. I think I have a bottle of water here. There was a guy who passed away, and his name was Danny Gatton. The reason why I was looking for a bottle of water is, imagine if this is a beer bottle. There's a guy named Danny Gatton, Gatton. He's been dead for about 10 years. He was actually younger than I. But in the middle of his playing the electric guitar, he would pick up a beer bottle. Usually he liked to use a Heineken bottle. Why, I don't know. All beer bottles are pretty much the same when you use it this way. And he would play an entire two chorus solo, Jim, with a beer bottle over the top, like this. And not only did he do it as a gimmick, but the guitar sounded great. Okay? Now I'm going to tell you one more that you should listen to. And I hope you're writing these down, because they're all on YouTube. Go look at these two guys. Son House is the guy that Robert Johnson idolized. And another one is Bukka White. Bukka White. Bukka White and Son House are unbelievable slide players. And since, Jim, you asked me, I'm going to tell you, I met B.B. King and actually performed not with him, but at some of the same festivals. And I was actually at a birthday party of his many years ago down in Tunica, Mississippi. And I played at the B.B. King Museum in Indianola, Mississippi. And what I want to tell you about B.B. King is one of the things that makes B.B. King stylistically was he would play a note and then shimmer like that. And if you look at any of his videos, you're going to see his hand move like a butterfly wing or a hummingbird wing, like that. Okay? And he does that to get this vibrato, like that. But what you don't know, Jim, and everybody else, most people don't know, is his second cousin was Bukka White, one of the finest slide players around at that time. And when B.B. King left the plantation down in Indianola, Mississippi, and he went to Memphis to seek a life as a musician, he stayed with his cousin Bukka White. And Bukka that's short for Booker T. Washington White, but it's Bukka, B-U-K-K-A, when you look him up on the internet. And Bukka tried to show him how to play the guitar with a slide, to get this sound. And B.B. couldn't get it. He couldn't catch on. And if you look at interviews, you'll see that B.B. will say, when I went to Memphis, I stayed with my cousin Bukka White, who was an accomplished slide guitar player, and he tried to show me how to play, and I loved the sound of his playing. I loved that shimmering sound that he got with the slide, but I couldn't replicate it. I couldn't get used to playing with a slide on my finger. And so what I did was develop a way of copying that shimmering sound by using an electric guitar and shaking my hand. And I'm going to tell you, technique-wise, that in order to play, I can't do what I can play. I can play with a slide, and B.B. King couldn't. But B.B. King can get a vibrato he doesn't have his thumb on the back of his guitar when he does it. He puts his finger on the guitar, and his thumb is off, and he shakes his hand like that, and he gets the sound that Bukka White was trying to show him. So what I'm trying to tell you is that B.B. King's guitar style that is everyone copied. If you asked Eric Clapton or if you asked Michael Bloomfield, that are all these great guitar players, who was their biggest influence, they're going to say, well, I come from B.B. King. As a matter of fact, Michael Bloomfield said that. When they asked him, he was in the Butterfield Blues Band, a great guitar player who's been dead for too long, but he was my age. He died early. When they said, who was your biggest influence? He said, I come from B.B. King. And what a lot of people don't know is that B.B. King's unbelievable style on the guitar was developed as a result of something that he couldn't do. play with a slide. Okay, you got any other questions, Jim?
Yeah, we got a question here from, looks like Greesh.
Greesh.
And the question is, can you give any tips on playing slide on electric?
Yeah, I can give you some tips on playing slide on electric guitar. First of all, I forgot to mention, Jim, and I hope you're still there. How could I overlook Duane Allman? You know what? And Greesh, same thing. Listen to the Allman Brothers. Listen to Statesboro Blues by the Allman Brothers, okay, on the Eat a Peach album. I'm telling you, that album was so influential. Remember what I said? I hope you were here at the beginning of the lesson. Remember what I said at the beginning of the lesson, that when I was coming up, you couldn't go to a music store and buy a slide. You had to make them yourself. Well, do you know why? The reason is that you can buy slides in stores now because of Duane Allman. Okay, Eat a Peach was such a huge hit, and the people in rock and roll had never heard anybody play with a slide in rock and roll before, that everybody started to play with a Coricidin bottle. There used to be a medication called Coricidin for colds, and it looked like it was a bottle that sort of looked like this with a cap on it. Okay, and Greg came to see Duane, and Duane was sick with a cold. I know this stuff. I'm sorry. Duane was sick with a cold at home, and Greg didn't know that this was going to happen. His brother, and Greg brought Duane a bottle of Coricidin medicine for his cold, and he also brought him some albums by old blues guys. And Duane was sick at home, and he listened to those albums, and according to Greg Allman, 3 or 4 days later, he came to visit his brother Duane, and Duane had taken all of the Coricidin, some of it he'd taken his medication and dumped it out, and he put the bottle on his finger, and and Greg said, he blew my mind that all of a sudden he was playing slide guitar with a Coricidin bottle on his finger. So the first slides that were available at music stores, somebody went out and found out who made the Coricidin bottles for that company, and they bought grosses of those bottles, and they sold them to music stores because there were no other slides, okay? So that was a very important thing. Now, the tip in terms of electric guitar is, boy, you got to be really careful. It's really hard to play in standard tuning with an electric guitar using a slide, because you see, if I make a mistake and hit the wrong string in open tuning, it sounds good because it's tuned to a chord. So even though I might mean to hit the fourth string, if I hit the fifth string, it's still in tune. But with a standard tuning guitar, and especially electric, if you hit the wrong string, it sounds terrible. It's out of tune. And so two tips for you. I'm sorry I didn't mention it before. Everyone who plays electric guitar and wants to play slide should listen to Duane Allman. Okay? And also, you should be aware that you need to mute. You need to mute with the heel of your picking hand, and the reason why is because that way you don't get any ambient sound. The electric guitar pickups are very, very sensitive, and even though and so if I don't mute, Jim, if I was playing electric guitar and playing slide, I might be just wanting to play on let's say I want to play that Muddy Waterslick and go like that, or the slide is, and the electric pickup, the pickups are so powerful that they're going to pick up the sounds on the other strings, especially if you're in standard tuning, and that can sound like crap, and so it can sound out of tune. So I answered the question here is that Bucka White, Son House, Robert Johnson. Don't forget about Duane Allman, please. And when it comes to playing electric guitar and using a slide, be sure to mute and be very accurate. The other thing that I'm going to say to you about playing with a slide when you play on the electric guitar, Jim, you're going to notice that most people that play with a slide on the electric guitar drag their index finger behind the slide, like this. So even if you're going to the 12th fret, they're dragging usually their index finger behind like this. And the reason why they drag that behind is because that mutes those other strings. and makes it clearer so that you don't get any of those ambient sounds. Now, because I play primarily an acoustic guitar, I don't use that technique of dragging my index finger behind. So one of the biggest tips that I can tell you, Jim, is if you're going to use a slide, and you should watch people on YouTube do it, especially Dwayne and other people, and what you'll see is, in order to prevent the guitar, the sound of the, just if I took my slide and just did that with an electric guitar, you're going to get a whole lot of ambient sound, huh? So you need to drag your finger behind to mute those strings. Okay? Anybody have any other questions here?
Yeah, we have another question from Alexa.
Okay.
And her question is, how long did it take you to learn how to make your guitar sing and mimic your voice? Also, what is a good way to develop that skill?
The length of time it took me was, I was really fortunate. You know, all those guys that I mentioned, Alexa, before, like Son House and Booker White, I sat right in front of them. One night, Booker White, B.B. King's second cousin, the guy that B.B. King idolized, he gave me a guitar lesson. My wife sat with me backstage after a concert for 2 hours. And so I went home that night, and it took me a long time. That's why I'm here for you guys, is it took me a long time to figure. Nobody told me any of these. I got to see these guys play, and now we have YouTube, so you can look them up and see what they're doing. So in answer to your question, Alexa, it took me it didn't take me a real long time. In terms of time period, I played the guitar every day, sometimes for 6 to 8 hours a day, because I wanted to become a professional musician. So the answer to your question would have to be, it took me, a couple weeks before my wife would say to me, you know, your slide guitar playing sort of sounds like a drunken sailor walking down, like the music they use when Popeye is drunk, or in a cartoon somebody's because I wasn't accurate, that sound, and because I wasn't accurate. So it took me a couple of weeks to get accurate. And when I say a couple of weeks, I mean, playing every day for an hour or two with the slide, and then I'd play standard tuning without a slide to practice as well. And so all I can tell you is, the more you do something, the better you get. And you have to pay attention and remember what I said about the parallax view. All of a sudden you think you're playing over the 5th fret, but if you move your face, you see, oh, I was playing it in front of the 5th fret. That's why it's sounding sour. You have to move your face over. Then you ask me about this. Mama. Boy, the kids in the elementary schools go crazy when I do this. You can hear a pin drop. Every place I go, I play this for the kids at the very end of my concert. I tell them I can make my guitar sing just like my voice. And they don't believe me. And then I take the slide and put it on my finger and I go, Mama. Mama. I want to go outside and play. I forgot the magic word. What's the magic word, kids? Please. Mama, please. All it did was take, Alexa, what I had to do was, remember in the previous lesson when I was teaching the blues scale and teaching you how to play lead, I made myself sing along with it in my head, and you have to do the same thing with the slide. If the scale goes like this, the scale goes like this. You don't have to be a singer to be practicing and sing along with it, because nobody's there to listen. Because eventually you're only going to be doing it in your head and nobody's going to hear you. So what you have to do, Alexa, and everyone else, is go dee da doo da doo da doo da doo da doo da. Dee da doo da doo da doo da doo da doo. You don't have to be a good singer. What you're trying to do is memorize the 5 notes that are in the scale. The 1, the flat 3, the 4, the 5, and the flat 7. So back and forth. Dee da doo da doo da doo da doo da doo da da doo da doo da doo da doo da doo da doo. And then this, Mama. I wrote that. So I made it up for my own voice. I went, Mama, Mama, I want to go outside and play. Mama, please. So all I did was replicate my own voice by finding the notes. Now I'm going to go back to your earlier question a little bit, Alexa, just for a second, and that's this. I don't know how to measure time in terms of non-musical stuff. So I'm really good with time when it comes to playing music, but when it comes to not playing music, I lose my sense of time. I lose a sense of time when I'm sitting down practicing the guitar. You know, these lessons that I just gave to you that lasted 2 hours seems like 15 minutes to me. Because I'm playing the guitar and doing something that I love, and that's one of the things that people comment on at JamPlay the most is, Hawkeye, your passion is contagious, and I hope it is, because that's what I mean when I tell you that I've been sitting here for almost 2 hours, and I could sit here for another 2 if you let me take a 5-minute break and stretch my legs. I'll sit here for another 2 hours, because when I'm playing the guitar, I'm in heaven and time stops. It could be bicycling. It could be swimming. It could be anything that you love to do, but you know how time stops, Alexa, when you're doing something you love. It could be crocheting. Well, for me, time stops when I'm practicing the guitar. So I don't know how to answer your question about how long did it take me. It wasn't important. It was more important that I accomplish it than the time that I put in. If it took me 3 years, I wouldn't care, but it didn't. Any other questions?
Yeah, we have one from Bob.
Okay, Bob. Hit me.
And Bob asks, when you're in open D tuning, what keys can you play the blues? For example, what if someone wants to play a 12 bar in A and you want to play along? What would you do in that situation?
Well, what I do in that situation is, Bob, you got a capo? Well, if you're playing electric guitar, look, if somebody said, I'll simplify it, and then I'll get back to because this is a short lesson. If you guys want me to come back and do this again, write to JamPlay and let them know. I tour all the time, but I'm going to be back here where the JamPlay studios are in the fall, and maybe we can do this again. But the answer to your question is this, Bob, and this is the easiest way for me to answer it, and I'll change it a little bit. What if somebody said to me that they want to sing a song and have me play slide, and they were in the key of E? Well, I would tune my guitar to open D, and now put a capo across the 2nd fret. That's an E. Okay, now the 4 and 5 chords are in the same place. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets. The 4 chord is 5 frets above the nut, and the 4 chord is 5 frets above the neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there, and the 5 chord is here. Okay, so you use a capo. But in terms of your question was, Hawkeye, what would you do if somebody said they wanted you to play, they want to sing a song in A and you were in open D tuning? I would have to put the capo here. And that's not convenient, is it? Because I just saw it off all of this neck of the guitar. I don't have any of that to go to, and now I don't have a cutaway, and I have to play everything up here without a cutaway, and I can't reach it. So Bob's asking me, what's my solution? My solution is, because of the time that I was limited to here, is I would go to open G. There's an open G tuning where you tune your guitar down, not up, to open G. Bob, listen to me. I'm going to tell you really quickly. The open G tuning is D, G, D, G, B, D. D, G, D, G, B, D, from low to high. All you have to do is Google open tuning in G and you'll come up with that, okay? Now you said somebody said, Hawkeye, somebody wants you to play slide guitar, but they want to sing in A. What would you do? I would not be in D tuning. I would immediately tune my guitar to open G. D, G, D, G, D, B, D, and then I would put a capo on the 2nd fret. Open G, 2nd fret is going to be A. And now I can do everything in what would be an open A tuning. Do you understand what I'm talking about, Bob? I hope so. Another question.
Well, this ties into what you're talking about.
Okay.
Someone was wondering, actually it's Carl, was wondering if you could tune to open G and improvise a little bit for us real quick.
How much? Somebody watching the clock here?
Yeah, we've got time.
Okay. What is this, Carl? Okay. Carl, I appreciate your asking me that, and believe me, I had to limit myself to open D here because everything's just about the same. Robert Johnson played in open G, and then he put a capo on. Jim, you don't know how this all fits together. Jim, Robert Johnson, when you listen to him play on those records, and all you people listen to Robert Johnson play slide, it sounds like he's in open A. But actually what he did was tune to open G, and then he put a capo on the guitar, okay? And he put it on the 2nd fret, and now he's in A. And the reason why he did that is because that's where his voice is. You don't want to sing in a key that's not suitable for your voice. So now I got to retune real quick. D, this 6th string gets to stay there. There it is. Now this needs to be a G. That's down. Is this Carl who asked this question? Is that who it was? Okay, Carl, I'm going there. I'm going D, G, D. I'm going to make sure I got it. Your patience is appreciated. G, D. Now I'm at the 3rd string and it's an F sharp. I'm going up to G, which is actually close to standard tuning, isn't it? This 3rd string is a G in standard tuning. Okay, now my 2nd string needs to be a B, which is also standard tuning. And now I need to go, that gets to stay there. So here's what I've got. D, G, D, G, B, D. And you want me to improvise, man? All right. The scale is exactly the same. 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, all the way across. The 4 chord is in the same place. At the 5th fret, right there. The 5 chord is at the same place. So this is a G. What's the 4 in G? It's C, isn't it? This is a C. And this is a D. So my 4 and 5 chords are in the same place at the 5 and 7th fret. And all those licks that I showed you in the key of D and all the little things, the scale. Okay, I'll improvise in G. You know what, Jim and Bob, those chords that I showed you, remember the positions that I showed you in D for the 2 chords when you want to finger them? All you have to do is move those 2 chords over one string higher, and they're exactly the same shape, like this. Remember in D, it was like this? It was an E7 shape. Just take it and move it over. Everyone, I'm playing what looks like a C chord, take your 3rd finger off, and that is a 4 chord. And now take your 2nd finger and put it on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and that's the 5 chord. So I've got everything I needed before. Watch. Where's that turnaround going to be? I said everything needs to be moved 1 string over higher. Remember it was on strings 2? I played at the 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 1st fret, and then open on strings 2 and 5 before. Now I moved them over and I'm playing on strings 1 and 4. I'm doing the exact same thing, but I'm playing on strings 1 and 4 instead of 2 and 5, and I can do the exact same thing. And now I can even do it here. And I can do it here. That turnaround. And the lick and I said I could play a rhythm out of it. So for your benefit, I'll play like Robert Johnson. Let me amend that. I will play in the style of Robert Johnson as best I can in the key of open G, remembering that when you listen to him, he took a capo and put it across the second fret so that it was an A. Okay? And the reason why he didn't tune to open A is the very first thing that I told you. Robert Johnson didn't play an expensive guitar. He had a cheap Gibson guitar in the beginning, and then he played with an L5, but Robert Johnson knew that if he tuned his guitar up rather than down, it would stress his instrument. Most of those blues guys didn't even have cases for their instrument, so they stressed their guitars a lot. So he tuned his guitar to G because that's going down, and then rather than tuning, you could tune your guitar to an A tuning, but it would put too much tension on the strings, and it could pull up the bridge, or it might bend and stress your neck. So here's Robert Johnson's music, even an intro. I'll sing something of the same song, Good Morning Blues, just for the heck of it, so that you can see that I can do the same thing in G tuning. I wasn't going to cover this, but I'm glad you sent the message in, and you're getting more for your bang for your buck here than I counted on, because I was afraid I wouldn't have time to cover this, and I am covering it in about 4 minutes here. Good morning blues, blues, how do you do? Good morning blues, blues, how do you do? I'm doing all right. Good morning, how are you? Now I'm going to show you the very first thing. Alexa and all you people that asked me how long did it take me. I saw Sunhouse play an open G tuning, and this is what he did. And I did it with my fingers because I didn't even have a slide. I didn't know about open tuning when I first saw him. And this was his technique. It was so simple but so dramatic. He would do this. So he went to the 12th fret and he went back and forth between 12 and 10 like this. Or 12 and 11. Slash. Again. Slash. I could go up here. You know, everything that I showed you in open D tuning can be done in open G tuning by just moving everything over, one string higher. What I mean is laterally that way. So if the chord in D tuning was this, in G tuning that same chord is going to be this. And if the chord in D tuning was this, in G tuning it's this. So this chord is the same as this chord, and this chord, the 5 chord, is the same as this chord. Any other questions? Okay, good. How much time do we have left, guys? Do I have time to play something for you? Okay? Here we go. I can't tell you how much fun I've had here. The time passes really quickly for me. Remember to crawl before you walk and walk before you run. If you can't accomplish something on the guitar, you know what? You're playing too fast. And there are blues songs that go 1, 2. So you can't play too slowly, all right? It's an honor and a pleasure for me to have been associated with JamPlay for the last 7 years. Believe me, I have more than 40 hours of lessons, and there's probably another 40 hours or at least 35 hours in the can that are yet to be placed online. And so for those of you that are not subscribers to JamPlay, I want to remind you that this is your chance to get a 25% discount. This is going to be done with on Monday. So this weekend is your chance. If you're thinking about getting guitar lessons online, this is the chance. And as long as I'd rather tell you this than play out, and that's this. I give private guitar lessons when I'm not on tour. And for the last 7 years, when I give a private guitar lesson, I have somebody at my house, and the last thing I tell them for the first time when they come for a lesson, the last thing I do is I give them the JamPlay address, and I give them access to JamPlay for 7 days. And I tell them before they leave, I said, I want you to go to this website, and I want you to watch my guitar lessons online, and then you decide whether you want to come back to my house and have to make an appointment with me and get dressed and come over to my house from wherever you live to my house and have a guitar lesson with me that's going to cost you $45 for an hour, or would you rather check out JamPlay and see what you get for $19.98 or $19.99 a month? 60 instructors and unlimited access. Let me tell you something. In 6 years, this is for my friends in Cleveland and in Ohio and all over the United States, let me tell you something. I can't give a better sales pitch than this. No one who I've ever given a free access week of JamPlay who has come to me for a private guitar lesson has ever, one guy, called me and said, yeah, I want to come back for private lessons. I need the personal attention. All the other people who I've given a first guitar lesson to in the last 6 years and then given them a week of free access so that they could see what JamPlay was about, no one has called me back and said, yeah, Hawkeye, I want to come back and sit with you under an appointment for $40 or $45 an hour. What more can I say about the power of JamPlay, okay? And believe me, it doesn't bother me at all. Because I'm sitting here talking to you, and while I'm sitting here talking to you, there are people all over the world in 5 continents, all 5 continents in almost every country in the world, who are taking guitar lessons from me and other instructors on JamPlay. I cannot say much more about it than that, other than I love playing the blues and I love sharing the information with you. And when you watch my lessons, you'll see I almost jump through the screen. It almost scares me if I ever watch my own lessons because I'm so passionate about this and I love it so much. And I'm never in a bad mood when I pick up the guitar. Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? Thanks for being here with me. Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? I'm doing all right. Good morning, how are you? Okay, guys, I want to thank you all for watching. I really do. Don't forget, 25% discount on JamPlay with the coupon Hawkeye is the code word. And I hope to see you. You know, I'm always available. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. I'm online at JamPlay at your disposal, and so are all the other instructors. I tell people, you know what? You could be in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and not be able to sleep. And you can grab your guitar and be in your pajamas and take a few guitar lessons online until you get tired and actually feel like you can get some rest. What more power is there than that? And you want to know something? It makes me feel good. The blues had a baby and it called it rock and roll. I said the blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll. and it makes me feel good from my head down to my toes. Okay, I'm having a good time. I have to be told when to stop. The blues had a baby, and they called it rock and roll. The blues had